Hello and welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey chapter 404. It is the last day of the week, aka the Big Bang Attack workout. I'm feeling very good right now, very excited for this workout. But anyways, to the main subject matter for today. At what point will AI have gone too far? So, the reason why I wanted to discuss this is because you might have seen my thumbnail here, which has a picture of a woman in it, and you'll be happy to know that that's AI completely, which is obviously something that is kind of terrifying. We are starting to get to the point now where AI is getting good enough to make photos that look pretty realistic. Now, there might be some details if you zoom in on there that might not make exactly sense, but it's getting pretty damn close to the point where if you didn't know, congratulations. Yeah. And it's getting to the point now where you gotta start questioning what is happening. In this episode right here, I talk about things that might happen in the future. And I did not think that this type of stuff, when I talked about stuff like that in that episode, I was thinking like maybe years down the line, not months, not immediately after this entire thing happened. So I'm very much curious to see where it all goes. But I have my personal thoughts and opinions about when it's going to get to the point where we have crossed that threshold, that level of, uh-oh, and I think we're starting to see I guess not the light at the end of the tunnel, but more so the burning fire at the end of the tunnel that is signifying, hey, things are getting a little too crazy. So in today's episode, we're going to be looking at that. A few other things that have come up in the past, how Sora has basically taken over some people's feeds with a bunch of random videos of stuff. I'm not going to say it's every single thing about it is bad, but I think that at a certain point we got to start really looking at it and wondering what's the next thing. Like what is going to be the human verification, the human captcha of video and photo? There's going to have to be something, right? People are going to have to make faces that are just AI impossible or something like that. They're just going to have to figure that out until AI figures it out. But with that being said, we'll talk about more and a lot of stuff like that when we get top of the race.
Let's start this day off with single arm lat pull down, which is pretty good. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. At what point has AI gone too far? So the main reason why I want to discuss this is because obviously we are getting into that point where AI has taken over a good chunk of just society and the behind the scenes of a lot of stuff. In fact, it's probably worrying in certain aspects of how things are so far deep and gone when it comes to AI. Like, for example, imagine in the future, the doctors that have been taught via AI and not actually doing any of the work. I don't even want to think about that. That's a whole other story for a whole other day. In this case, we're going to just be talking about the internet in a certain sense, where AI being used to basically create false people and or false scenarios and just being used against us for whatever reasons they want. I think that it is now getting to the point where the first sniff test is starting to be able to get passed, which is very upsetting in a certain sense, because I thought that this would have taken decades or at least a good while before there was a whole way in order to be able to see like a system or something that would make it so that we could detect these things a little quicker. Now all of a sudden we have to analyze and sit there and actually scrutinize a single document and or upload it to a place that will tell us. But it's kind of funny because eventually those will probably get duped as well. Eventually we're going to have to come up with some sort of human captcha or some type of photo captcha or some type of captcha that is for the people, so that way they can actually understand that this is a real thing. We're going to have to start watermarking regular photos now. It's like, oh, this is not made by AI or something like that. I have an idea of what the human captcha will be, but we'll talk about that in a different story. It's interesting to think that we have already gotten the first person to have killed themselves because of an AI, which is a very sad statistic that we're already at 1 on the board there. It's really sad because I think that a lot of people are underestimating the power that this thing will have on people, particularly when it comes to things like that. The amount of people that are getting separated from, social interactions because of the dynamics between genders has made it so that people have decided to say, fuck social interactions. And now both sides have kind of brought up up the entire idea of the robo interaction, where it's basically somebody that is essentially a subservient version of whatever they want to make it for them, really. And it's kind of sad seeing that. But when it comes to things like this, where it's like a fake image that passes the first sniff test, we're getting into the point where we're going to start seeing people getting framed for crimes that they never did. Imagine getting cheated on and then saying, oh, that was AI, or the other way around, where you're not getting cheated on, but then all of a sudden they can get something that makes it so they seem like they're cheated. You know, it's going to go both ways, but I don't think it's going to go well either way, regardless of what's going on. And I'm not going to really talk about AI slop or AI art in this episode, because although they are their own separate categories and they're very interesting, good and bad, but I'll get to them eventually. I think that the biggest thing about stuff like this in particular, where you can just basically make it so people are making fake people and or fake influencers with a picture, and then all of a sudden they can create a whole personality on the internet, is a very huge deal for the scammers. They are going to run loose, particularly those from India are going to run wild with these AI scamming opportunities that are going to arise, because realistically, people are not going to realize it. I think the other day I got a call from work, which was an obvious AI voice, but I could have seen how people could have gotten fooled by that if I didn't do a sniff test when I first heard the person, because they definitely didn't sound correct. And that's the other thing. It's like we're going to have to start getting better at picking up what is and what isn't an AI, because they're going to get too good to a certain point where people are going to get pissed off, or there's going to be some mass thing that's going to happen, like let's say a bunch of people gathering up by the Brooklyn Bridge thinking that there's going to be a fireworks show for New Year's Eve, and then all of a sudden everybody shows up and there's nothing actually. What is it? They were tricked by an AI video, but then all of a sudden, hey, the guy who made that AI video is there with a fuck ton of rifles and ready to mow down all these people. Those people that happen to go to that thing are lucky that they weren't a part of a mass shooting, because realistically, that's where things are going to go. People are going to make AI into fake things to make people herd into a certain place, and then all of a sudden they're going to be part of a statistic or an unfortunate tragedy. I think we've reached the point that we have crossed the Rubicon. We are no longer able to say that this is going to be good. We have gotten to the point now where we have a true and honest issue, but yet I don't think anybody's going to do anything, because this is literally the only thing that's pushing our economy currently, and everybody's too afraid to say, hey, if we don't fucking stop this, or at least figure out some type of rules, we're all going to be fucked somewhere. Not to mention the government that probably has even better AI tools than we do.
And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercise is not filmed tonight. Exercise is skipped. We have one. Skip the rice bucket because I gotta go walk. So anyways, back to the main subject matter at hand here. At what point is the breaking point with AI? I think we've starting to get to the point now where things are starting to get a little too freaky, a little too real, and a little too quickly. I think, you think back maybe like 3 to 4 years ago when they had like that Will Smith AI video. It is slowly becoming to the point now where we are going to get more and more, we're going to get closer and closer to it being like straight up like real life footage. The fake body cam footage is already starting to get up there because of the low effort quality that it just needs to be. So it's starting to get real. And I think that if there isn't a stop to it, we're probably going to be fucked over so hard by so many things. It makes me wonder why. Why is there such a push in order to get all this shit so advanced? Sure, all the like computing stuff and thinking about things stuff, all that, whatever. I don't give a shit about that, even though that's also kind of important, but that's a different story. I think when it comes to images and videos, we might have an issue there that is unbeknownst to us. It's another Pandora's box that is going to be opened to the point that's going to ruin things even more so. And the question is why? I personally believe that it is being pushed by people who want the ability to be able to get rid of the guilt or blackmail that they may or may not have of themselves in order to say, hey, that's probably AI. Because the better it gets to that, and if the public can't really tell, then videos of whatever they are doing that is terrible could be released, and who knows? But hey, that's just a conspiracy theory, which means it'll probably be true in about a year. But still, it's still interesting that we are that close, even though we weren't that, it felt like we were light years away from having shit like this, where like that, the girl in the thumbnail, I can't even call it a girl. It's a fucking AI. It's not real. But the thing is, it looks real. It genuinely looks legitimate. And it's not like it passes the first sniff test, which I thought it would take forever to get to me to be able to get, not like, you know, you can see AI, you can tell it's like, oh, this is AI relatively easily with like the first sniff. This one passed the first sniff, aka I scrolled by quickly and was like, oh, this, all right, whatever, picture of a girl. Immediately, that is terrifying because we are so close for it to just be reality all of a sudden now, and God knows where it could go, because you can take it as far as the eye could see. Imagine the amount of scamming that people are going to be able to do with this type of shit. And that's just like surface level hell tactics, you know? There's so much more you could do with that. And I'm talking about like the first layer of evil, really. So it's just something to really think about. And what is the point where the pushback happens? Where are we just going to say no? You know, like, where is the no button? And everybody just says, fuck that. You know, what is going to be that one incident that happens? It wasn't a kid committing suicide. That wasn't already the point, but that makes me wonder, what is the point? And that's the entire point of this video. So please let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. If you have an idea of what the point will be, please let me know. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with anybody who may or may not like it. I will be back on tomorrow with a new video. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. Keep it heavy, stay safe out there, and stay warm. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.